was not born today or yesterday or the day before, sir. Previously on, no, you have to pay. We end up closing the door, reopening the door, closing it again, sitting at the gate. Teach these adults to be well behaved and have manners. Hey crew, I just wanted to give you guys the heads up that this is part 2 of my previous vlog. So if you haven't watched part 1, stop right here, watch that, and then come back to this video. So let's continue. So that's what happened with the trip. Now to talk about the flight that I worked. It was eventful from the beginning of boarding. The passengers were not bad in any way, shape, or form, but just strange, you know? I understand on a flight that's not completely full, you know, people will want to move around. And what I mean by that is like move their seats. They will want to move from, if they're sitting next to someone, to an empty row. Now that's fine, that's normal. The only thing is that you can't move around until we finish boarding. So people were moving their seats before the boarding process had even finished, which then caused confusion for the people who were actually supposed to be in that seat, if that makes sense. So this passenger, he's sitting in the window seat, and one of the flight attendants tell me, well, you know, no one's supposed to be sitting right there. So I said, excuse me, is this your seat? And he's like, yeah. And I said, well, can I see your boarding pass? And he didn't want to get the boarding pass up, which obviously is a sign, you know, that's probably not his seat. So sorry, you guys, there's something in my eye. Okay. I look tired. We're gonna hurry this up because I have a shorter layover now. I should probably say that my layover is a little under 12 hours. Okay, so he didn't want to give the boarding pass up, and he finally handed it to me, and of course that wasn't his seat. And he was like, oh, this isn't my seat? Oh, how did I get here? I was not born today or yesterday or the day before, sir. What else happened? This one was my first time encountering this, and you guys know when we're having our crew debrief, I can't remember stuff, so I'm looking at my phone where I have everything written down to, you know, discuss with you. So during the boarding process, this passenger waved his hand to get my attention, and I went over to him and I was like, how can I help you? And he's like, excuse me, that guy sitting across over there, he's coughed a few times and he's coughing too many times. Can you tell him to stop coughing? And once again, I chuckle because I think he's joking. Like, you're joking, right? And he was serious, and I was like, I'm sorry, sir, I can't stop someone from coughing. Like, it's a bodily function. Like, I can't tell him not to cough. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? You guys, I didn't know how to respond to that. Honestly, genuinely, how would you respond in that situation? Comment down below what you would have said if you were in my shoes and you were the flight attendant, how you would have handled that situation with that passenger. So, last thing, which was a strange encounter. Now, I know that flight attendants are, I've been trying to think of this word the whole day to remember to tell you guys in this crew debriefing, but I can't think of it for the life of me. But basically, flight attendants, we can make do with what we have, basically, you know. Comment down below if you know the word I'm trying to think of, because I surely don't know it. Hopefully by the time I edit this video, I'll put it up here somewhere in the top. But, you know, we use what we have to do what we need to do, basically. So I understand that, but one thing we're not is a convenience store. The amount of random items that I was asked on this flight if I had was alarming. Like, the most random of them was, did I have, you know how when you travel internationally, and if you have a phone that can take out the SIM card, the little tool that they use to take that SIM card out, I was asked if I had one of them. And when I said no, I didn't, they looked at me like I was crazy. So then that made me think, well, do flights actually have those? Like, do international carriers provide those? Because that's a strange item to bring with you. But, you know, I don't know. Comment down below if you know anything about that. I think that is it, you guys. I think that's it for that flight. So I had plans for this layover, and I was kind of sad that I wasn't able to continue on with it with the flight attendant that was supposed to come here. She was a new hire, and she was really excited to come here for us to continue the trip together. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. But I did have plans to go to the gym, and that is no longer happening. I'm going to be real with you because I am exhausted. My layover is much shorter than what it was intended to be, and I need to eat my food, which I packed, go find a microwave, and then hit the bed because my pickup time is 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, and we have 3 legs. Tomorrow's a long day. So yeah, I think I'm signing out for the night. I'm not promising you that I will be speaking to you guys in the morning because, in the words of Brandon, aka Fly with the Guy, if you don't watch his channel, you need to go check it out. I always have a disagreement with the clock in the morning. Like, it never fails. So enough of me flapping my gums. I've been talking for 11 minutes now, 12 minutes. I gotta go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, crew. It is 5:51 local time, so I have about 10 minutes, a little under 10 minutes until I have to be downstairs. It's go home day. We have 3 legs. I told you guys about them last night. And yeah, so we're putting out positive vibes that today is going to be an uneventful day with no drama. So I'll see you guys in the next clip.
Let's rock. Can you rock for me? Oh, baby, stop for me. Can you take it to the top for me? I just wanna love you, baby. Always thinking love.
Hey crew, so it is 11:22 and I am in Atlanta. I gotta talk quickly because I don't want to get copyrighted by this music, but we had a 2.5 hour sit. 30 minutes has already passed of it. I went and got myself something to eat and sat at an empty gate. Not much has happened. We get a new flight attendant on the next leg, and that's about it. So I will probably speak to you guys again, most likely when I get to New York, but we'll see. So I'll see you in the next. Hey crew, so it is many days later after our 4-day block, but 2-day trips. Please excuse my appearance. I'm trying to get my life together. I'm trying to edit this vlog for you guys. And I just remembered that I never came back to do our final crew debriefing and close out the vlog. So, as you guys know, I wrote my notes down, and we had 3 legs. We worked Milwaukee to Atlanta, 3-hour sit, Atlanta to Tampa, 2.5-hour sit, and then Tampa to JFK. The first flight was uneventful. We had nothing going on. The second flight, Atlanta to Tampa, it's really short. It was actually, I've spoke about this before on my channel, an express flight. So depending on how long the flight mileage is, depends or distinguishes what type of service is offered. Whether there is no service because it's too short of a flight, express flight where you only have a limited service offering, or a full service flight where, you know, you offer everything you have. You may sell onboard snacks or stuff like that. So this flight was an express flight because of the length of the flight, and it was fairly bumpy. So we only ended up being able to pass out water and snacks because of the amount of time we still had left. So then now comes to the last flight, which was Tampa to JFK. I ended up sitting down with one of the crew members during our sit. I think I told you guys that, you know, this trip, after everything that happened, I was the only person who was original to the trip. So that meaning that the rotation from the time we signed in to the time we ended, I was the only person who had that actual rotation. We got Detroit-based flight attendants. We got Atlanta-based flight attendants. We got another New York-based flight attendant. It was just new flight attendants every day, every leg. So that's what happened with that. So on the sit, I sat with our A, who was a Detroit-based flight attendant. The crew on the last day was really nice. The crew on the first day was nice too. All of the flight attendants that I met, but we're sitting in like the little food court area of our concourse, and we're talking, and this lady is screaming the word or the name Denise, Denise, Denise over and over, and Denise is not showing up. So it got to the point where we couldn't even finish our conversation because she was screaming Denise so much and so loud that it was so distracting. Then after, I guess she figured out Denise wasn't showing up, or she gave up on trying to find Denise, the gentleman that was sitting on the side of us, he, honestly, it felt like he was doing it on purpose. Every time the flight attendant was trying to tell his story, the guy would like press play on his phone of whatever video he was watching and turn the volume up so loud. Guys, why were both these passengers on our flight? So when they boarded, the A was joking. He's like, oh my gosh, we found Denise. Because the lady who was screaming Denise was traveling with someone else. So we just assumed that was Denise. And the other gentleman also came on the flight. So that was funny to us. But one thing that I wanted to share with you guys that I've experienced in the last 4 days of flying, and it happens to me occasionally, is that my ears have been getting clogged, like to the point where it's blocked and I can't hear anything. And I'm trying to yawn, chew gum to help alleviate the pressure in my ears and to get the pop, I should say. So it's something that I struggle with. It doesn't happen all the time, like every flight I work, because obviously I wouldn't be able to handle that, but it does happen randomly. So that is something that I was dealing with during those 4 days. Hopefully in my next trip, I do not experience it. But I want you to comment down below if you have ever, or if you do experience your ears clogging or popping when you fly. Fun. Well, it's not a fun fact, but little quick story time. When I first started with my current airline, I was working this trip, a 3-day trip, and it had a Norfolk layover. Fun fact, I went to school in Norfolk, so I'm familiar with that area, and a lot of my friends do still live there, or in the 7 cities area. And we had however many legs that day, I honestly can't remember. And progressively, each leg, the pressure in my ear was getting worse. It got to the point where I couldn't hear anything out of my ear, and it was so painful. Like, I couldn't even speak. I was in so much pain. So me being a new hire, I was so afraid to call out, so afraid to say that I was sick. I was at that point willing to work through the pain. But I was working with a flight attendant on that crew who told me a story about how she had that same pain in her ear and she kind of ignored it. And when she came back to work on the plane the next day after her layover, her eardrum partially ruptured and blood was like spurting out of her ear. So that obviously scared me. And the captain on that trip actually was a really nice captain. He advocated, he was like, I really think you should go to the doctor on our layover since we have a fairly long layover and see what they say. And ultimately the doctor said that it wasn't a good idea for me to fly, or I should not fly at all, because the risk of me rupturing my eardrum was very high. So I just wanted to share that little story with you guys, that if you do experience that intense pain, to be careful, because something like that could happen to you. Okay, I've been talking for 6 minutes and I still haven't got into my little story for you guys. So on the last flight, Tampa to JFK, we had a lot going on. That flight, it was 100% full. Every single seat was full. And for some reason, we were on an older model aircraft, and for some reason we were experiencing a lot of IFE problems. And for those of you who don't know what IFE is, it's basically the seat back screen where you watch TV. That is considered IFE, in-flight entertainment at my airline. So we were resetting 1,000,001 screens. Like, make your way down the aisle, and then you'd have to turn back around and go to the panel and reset it. Then you'd make your way down the aisle some more, and then someone else would be like, oh, my screen's not working either. So then you'd have to go back and do that one. So it was just nonstop before we could even start service. So this one gentleman, anytime he saw us going to reset one person's screen, he wanted to say that his screen wasn't working again. Mind you, his screen was reset. And for those of you who don't know, the screen reset process is not instant. It's not like, oh, you turn it off and you turn it immediately back on. It takes a few minutes, 5 to 7 minutes for it to reboot. And that was, expressed to the passengers. Like, it's going to take a few minutes. If once it does reboot, it's still not working, please let us know. So the time between us going back and forth was not 5 to 7 minutes. So now we finally start service, and his screen has probably been reset 2 times at this point, and I'm trying to go through doing service, and he's like, my screen's not working, my screen's not working. And I had to turn to him and be like, sir, your screen has been reset. It is not instant. You have to wait until it fully reboots. The screen is black right now because it's in the process of doing its reset. I cannot reset it in the middle of the reset. You have to wait for the whole process to be cleared. Then we had problems with, the Wi-Fi working. So we reset the Wi-Fi, and once it rebooted, it was fine. Well, then he started complaining about the Wi-Fi not working. And, I'm human. Everyone has their shortcomings or shortfalls or whatever the term is. And him repeating it over and over and over while I'm trying to ask people for their drink orders, because at this point we started service, was kind of running my nerves thin. So I was like, can you just please reset his screen and the Wi-Fi? And the flight attendant was like, his screen again? We just did it. So when I said Wi-Fi, the person sitting in front of his row was like, no, the Wi-Fi is working. He just doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm like, okay, don't reset the Wi-Fi, but reset his screen again. So we reset his screen, and then he's like, well, the Wi-Fi's not working. Like, I can't get on. And he's like going on and on about it. So I'm like, sir, did you connect? You can't just click the Wi-Fi and leave it at that. He's like, I know what I'm doing. It has no Wi-Fi. The internet says it's not working. I was like, well, once you click it, you still have to go to the internet Safari or whatever internet browser you have and go through the process of connecting. So him feeling like he was one-upping on me, like I didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, can you go to your internet browser? And it popped up, and he was like, oh, no, I'm sorry. No, none of that. So we continue on doing service. That problem has now solved. And it's now starting to get dark. When we took off, it was daylight, and now it's getting dark. And how our beverage carts are set up, most of the time, things are in the same place every time. So it's kind of like muscle memory, knowing where the different cans of juice, soda, whatever it is. So this lady asks for a club soda. So I get her ice, I hand her the can, and you remember I'm saying it's getting dark in the cabin. It wasn't pitch black, but it was getting darker to the point where I can see, but it's not daylight, So I hand her the can, and I continue on with the person in the next row, and she says nothing about it. So I don't think anything of it. Now I'm helping the person in the next row, and she's like, excuse me, I'm so sorry, but you handed me Bloody Mary mix. I'm like, oh my gosh, ma'am, I am so sorry. I picked up the can where the club soda was supposed to be, and I did not look. I really apologize. She was like, it's okay. I didn't notice it either until I drank it. And I was like, this does not taste like club soda. So we both had a laugh on that. I was like, I am embarrassed because why didn't I look? But once again, I'm human. I make mistakes. It was nice that she laughed with it because not everyone is that gracious. Some people don't expect us to make mistakes. And I feel like sometimes some passengers don't think we're human, like that we're robots, and that we don't need a break. We don't need a bathroom break, a food break, just like them. But really enough of me rambling at this point. So that's it for real this time. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay safe and see you soon.